coronavirus stuff, it makes everything so confusing because honestly, like even if Roman won right now, even if Braun won, I don't care who wins. Nothing's happening. And the question is, okay, they're apparently filming WrestleMania so they could just put this on the WWE network or whatever. What's going to happen after?
Right.
What are we going to do from here? They're just going to wrap up this thing. Coronavirus is only getting worse in the United States. I mean, the number of cases is only increasing by the day. I can't imagine that these guys can realistically do any more of these empty arena shows. The coronavirus is getting worse. Like, you can't keep doing this.
You think that we're going to have to see a pause on all wrestling performances, like period? Like you
perhaps because
they're going
like
the air for the first time in however many years, like 30 years,
ever, maybe ever,
years, right?
Ever, because the thing is this: consider these facts. Coronavirus is getting worse right now. And I don't want to, I mean, I know this is a wrestling, but I mean, coronavirus is obviously heavily impacting wrestling, so we have to talk about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Coronavirus right now, 100,000 cases in the United States. That number is only going to get higher. And even though we're not making a big deal out about it yet, people are going to start dying. People haven't started dying yet, but they will. Just wait. In 2 weeks, when people start dying off, things are going to get really scary in the United States. And I understand that Vince is really hard-headed. I get that he's all about, like, like, this is his life, and I understand that. But you already have Roman. He's out because of the leukemia stuff. Supposedly, it's because The Miz was already really sick, and everyone got freaked out about it, and they were like, yeah,
no.
I
didn't know about that.
Yeah, apparently The Miz was sick, and that's why everybody started dropping out because they're worried that he might potentially have it. You can't. This is just not manageable. Half your roster already wants out. They don't even want to stick around because they're scared for. I mean, reasonably enough, dude. You have your families to worry about and yourself to worry about. I mean, come on. I can't realistically see them in the month of April being able to go on with Raw or SmackDown or NXT. I just can't see it. And I would say the same for AEW. Actually, I think it's going to hit everyone. And right now, this is just more. It's just It's just Vince, and it's wrestling being capricious, and they're just saying, yeah, well, it doesn't matter, and yeah, it's just wrestling being capricious. It's, oh yeah, this isn't a big deal, but we're not making a big deal yet because people aren't dying, but they will start dying, and when that happens, this is all coming to a halt. That's how I feel.
As basically lifelong wrestling fans, it's weird to think that there will not be a Monday Night Raw, potentially, right?
That's weird.
Around, so it's like, I remember when it was Thursday nights, and then it was Tuesday nights, and it was Friday nights, but without SmackDown too, that's super weird. I mean, I started watching wrestling with SmackDown. No SmackDown? What?
It's a crazy life, right? Imagine not even getting like a highlight on YouTube or like Monday Night Raw highlights or any of the other YouTuber stuff that gets put out there. We're just not, that's gonna be weird. We're just not gonna get that at all.
Yeah,
it's gonna be strange. But since we're talking about, okay, so you asked like 20 minutes ago, you asked me how could this potentially change the industry forever? And let's look down the line. How do you think that if everything ceases to happen in wrestling for, say, 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 month, what could this potentially do to wrestling in the future? What do you think?
Okay, so I had a couple of scenarios run through my head when I was thinking about it. One, either we're just going to have to see a pause on the season like the other professional sports, organized sports, right? Like the NFL, NBA, football leagues across Europe. They're all on pause, or they all just kind of ended the season where it was. We're going to see a pause, and then we're going to see it start up again in a couple months, maybe, with all new storylines. Or we're going to see more, and this is actually the one that I kind of hope happens. We're going to see more tight, really well-crafted stories where the character work is a lot better, and maybe it's a limited roster, but then those people who are actually able to perform still under these circumstances will be future Hall of Famers, because if they do
Yeah.
it right, they will build up the next generation of real hardcore stars that were able to stick it through and get months and months of storylines behind their belt, build the star power, and we'll know if they're popular because of if people are tuning in or not, right? There's no crowd,
Yeah.
no pop, but imagine if they build someone up so big, like, for example, Velveteen Dream is one of these guys who I think is a future Hall of Famer. Like, he's so young and he's
I love
so
that guy.
good as he is right now. Like, he's
Me too.
only
Yeah.
getting
He's
better.
great.
And if they get him in a storyline and he gets over, by the time that there is he's already super over as it is, but by the time that there are crowds back in the arena, the pop will be like deafening for a guy
Right.
like him.
Well, you mentioned something that's very interesting. There's two things that what you just said make me think about. One, we've been asking for an offseason in wrestling for years. Like, we've asked for an offseason for ages and it never happens. And now there might be a forced offseason,
Yeah.
which in a way, if Velveteen Dream, like if what you're saying does happen, let's just hypothetically say that in, I don't know, in July or August, everything picks up back to normal and we get shows again, and that does occur, you're going to have an audience that like, wrestling fans have been essentially, think about it, us as wrestling fans, we have been getting information fed to us on a weekly basis forever.
Yeah, it's
Like,
true. We're
every
spoiled.
week there is something. Every week there's a Raw, there's a SmackDown, there's an NXT, there's 205 Live,
AEW.
an AEW, a TNA, a Ring of Honor, something.
Yeah, even
But
Japan,
for the
right?
first time in our lives, there will be a pause. And what do we know about pauses? They can be really good,
That's true.
because what's the phrase again? It's like, absence makes the heart grow fonder,
Yeah.
right? So for the first time ever, we're not gonna get stuff for a while, even if it's a month. There's nothing's gonna happen. So you're perhaps right. This is going to almost feel like it's going to feel like you took out an old battery out of a car that's been running for 30 years and you're putting a new battery in for the first time ever,
Yeah.
perhaps, and the crowds might be rowdier and louder than ever, you know?
If that happens, like, let's go with that scenario. Let's say that there's now an off season, and that would be good. That would actually probably be good for everyone, right? Like, the wrestlers get to go home, they get to spend time with their family, they don't have to be on the road all the time. If they were able to take, like, even just a month off out of the year, like, I mean, what is a regular off season for most organized sports? A couple of months, right? Like,
Yeah.
even if they only get 1 month, I think everyone would agree that that would be wonderful.